line it up, and then line it up so that the plane that I'm looking at is actually flat, right? And then move it up and down to do this. There are also tools that you can use to settle things, right? But I won't worry about that right now.
That looks good to me.
Yeah, it looks like a door. I'm wondering why.
Are you able to duplicate now like you would in another?
I can. In fact, I will do this by mouse first. Duplicate. Move this up. And we make door 2. They don't look right, but we'll fix that in a second. Don't they look inside out?
They do look like they're inside out.
It's a little strange. I'll have to look at it. It might be an issue with my light. So now I'll right-click, duplicate, move this one over. Right? Now, here we go. In my desire and quest for order, let's look at them from the front. They're not exactly equal distance, right?
Right.
So let's pick our first door, which was at 0.9, right? And 0 on Z, right? We're not going to touch the Z one, but we're going to mess with the X one for the right door. So it's 1.215 over. Let's just round that down, 1.2. And this one's going to be at minus 1.2.
Right.
Right? And part of the reason I do this is when I come back to, like, bug fix or if I'm having a problem with something, I can visually look at all the numbers and see that they all match. Right? And then if I see that it says, like, minus 3, even though it kind of looks correct, or it's sort of, you know, like, let's say it's 1.3, sorry, 0.3, like, oh wait, it looks a little off. Is it off? Yeah, I can visually, like, I know it's supposed to be 1.2. So, like, I basically build everything initially on a grid, right? You don't have to do that for everything, but for this type of stuff, I start this way, and that way I know exactly what it's supposed to look like. Okay, well, that doesn't quite look like hell yet. Let's actually turn this more like into a path. So, if I wanted to do the math, I would add the widths of these doors plus the distance in between them, right? But in this case, I am just going to wing it, especially since, let's see, it's going to be about 0.5, not 5. No, so let's try 4, 3, let's see, 0.35. Okay. There we go. Now we've got something that kind of looks like a path, right?
Yeah.
And it holds the doors on it. And the reason I want to put a path down is even if we don't have, don't visually show it, I want to at least have a ground plane so in case I want to move stuff on it, it has collision, right?
Right.
But let's put it into Z by 100, and now we have an infinite hell path.
So Z at 100 on your scale for something like that puts you at an infinite?
No, it just looks infinite from the camera point of view.
Got it. So
right.
Perspective thing.
Right. And see the camera preview down here?
Cool. How do you
Right.
pull the camera preview?
So I selected the camera, the main camera here in the world. Right. But this is also the same view as the game view.
Cool.
Right. But you can see the preview down here and say like, oh, okay, there's the camera preview. But let's go back to the game view. Like, okay, that looks about right. Let's look at these doors. You know what's, I think what's missing from these doors is, let's talk about materials. It's got to be it. It's like, I think it's either that or the light. Let's look at the light.
Is the light not in front of those guys?
No, the light is pointed directly at the door jamb. So technically the front and back face aren't lit, which is why it looks oddball. So let's give the light a little spin.
There you go.
And if I wanted to be a real stickler for this kind of thing, it would be like 45, 50 on X, and 0 goes that. I'm being anal retentive right now, so just go with me. Okay, so now we have our doors.
I know what you're doing.
We have our doors. Okay. Now, the background is blue. Let's change that. Because I want it to be more hellish and not blue. So I could do... let me back up. I went a little fast. So select your main camera. Go to go to the camera properties over here. There's a color background piece here. Go to black. Right? Or, this looks like works like any other color picker. You can go to red. You can go to blackish red, which I think I'm going to stick with. It's not full black, and it's not full red.
Cool.
Okay, are we into it?
Yeah, I'm following along. Yeah, nice.
Okay, now, doors are kind of plain. Let's dress them up a little bit. Let's say, I'm going to create a new folder down here. So I went to my assets folder. I right-clicked on it, create, and you'll see at the top is now a folder. Create this folder. We're going to call this resources. So the reason I create this folder is when you go to do scripting, the default folder it looks for is resources. Now,
just what the code says.
Yeah, it's a couple of different packages. Everybody looks for this default resources folder, which is strange because Unity doesn't auto-create it for you. Whatever, right? Like it just creates it empty. Anyway, let's go back to Google, and let's get let's say this door. Let's see if I can. What if I can drag this in? No, didn't like that. Okay.
What you want to do, like as you're in a normal process, would you want to do the textures right now, or would you want to start animating this and making the gameplay aspects and then texture it, or?
It depends. It's really it just comes down to how important that art's going to be for moving forward, right? Yeah. So what we could do right now is instead of doing that is let me go to the door, pick the door color. I'll tell you what. Let's go back to the asset store. Asset store. And I actually pulled one of these down the other day, so I'll bring it in. I was just kind of using that example as something to use as a teaching meme.
Is this actually a door image or a door texture?
It is a full door prefab. Hey Matt, so you can't do a gradient color shift the way that I just through this color picker. So this color picker is just a straight up background color. You can do the alpha, but since it's the background, there's nothing to show behind it, so there's no reason to really do anything with the alpha. To get what you're talking about, you have to do something like a skybox or another. Basically, you're going to have to do something else besides just this background color to do a gradient. But are you asking me to do black at the top and red towards the bottom as a aesthetic look and show that? Is it? Let me import that door. And you see the door comes with a model, a material, and 2 texture maps.
Cool.
Right. Bring this in. So what I can do, I'm going to show you a tricky trick. All right, I have this is the door prefab here, right? And you see it shows up as a picture here, but there's this little arrow on it.
Yeah.
On the side. I'm going to make this icon bigger so you can see this. This arrow on the side shows you that it's a prefab, right? And B, all the pieces that make up this prefab. Right? So like what's in it? Oh, there's a door model. There's the animation. There's an avatar in here for some reason. I don't know what all that stuff does, but let's look at it. So if you do it this way, let's go back to like a list view. Right? See how I've done this list view? Zoom slider at the bottom. basically thumbnails or a list view, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. List view, you could actually just do it this way. You think it'd look better? I've got something else planned for this, and I'll show you that in a second because I'll pull it in. But I could do a gradient background in Photoshop again. But I'll show you that in a second. So here's the door brief hub. I'm going to drag it into the world.
I'm going to put that as a note for the next one for the gradient shift.
Yeah, because we're going to run out of time here pretty soon. But
yeah.
So
we had about 20 minutes.
Yep. That's why I was like, let's get to something a little bit more exciting at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Like, let me do something for the world instead of the gradient shift, and I think you guys will dig this. We're not going to get to scripting. Well, actually, I'm going to touch on scripting today, but we're not going to do much with it because that gets its own at least 30 minutes just to intro it.
Sure.
So you'll see I have a door here. It's above my other door, but me being anal retentive, I want to make sure that it's aligned how I want it. So it's 0.5. Actually, that was probably the best way. You'll see that its axis is down at this corner, right?
Yeah, you can move that around now.
Yeah, but the thing is it's going to have totally different world placement than the door, because the door has, the one that we made has axis in the middle, and this one has it on the corner, right?
Right.
Now, there's a reason they did that is because I think there's an animation attached to this, and that's where it's going to spin, right?
It's like an axis like this, right? And
right. So, like, watch this. I will show you the example. If I rotate this door, it spins in the middle, right? If I rotate this door, it swings like a door.
Right.
Right? Because of where that pivot point is, where the axis is. Okay. I'm just gonna. I just hit Command Z to undo all of that to get back to where I was. Okay. I'm a little bit retentive here, so what I'm gonna do actually is take this door. I'm gonna make it a child of my original door. Right. So in this hierarchy, nothing changed in the scene, but in my hierarchy, it's underneath this door. Correct? Do you have that?
That sounds like something like parenting, like you do, and so one thing controls another, right?
That is correct. I'm going to delete... Oh, shit. Whoops. I actually parented it to the wrong door. I parented it to the left door because I think in my retentive ways, I arranged them top to bottom, left to right. Okay, I am going to get rid of the side doors for the sake of demonstration and for ease of use, and so I don't get confused. Okay, so I parented it. Now I'm going to show you something. Look over here at the inspector. Mm-hmm. Notice the XY position numbers. Okay, yeah. Here's the door by itself. Notice that they changed. Right?
Yeah.
Once I parented it, it changed, right? And I took it off, and I'm going to parent it again. I'm just showing you, so you can watch the inspector here. Unlink them. Now I'm gonna link it back on. Okay, this is what it's doing. When it's not attached to this other object, which we'll call the door, right? The regular door. When it's not attached to that, its transform numbers are where it is in the world, right? So it's technically, it's like understood you, right? Like go to the store. Like when you speak that way, that you is still there. You go to the store, correct? Right? You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
Assume that the door is attached to the world, and this is its relationship in the scene or the world scene, right? And so this is how far it is from the center of the world, right?
Right.
Once I attach it to the door, those numbers change to be its relationship to this door object.
So can you just change them to 0, 0, 0 then and bring it back to where the door is?
I could, but what it will do, since the pivot is not at 0, 0, 0 on the door, is it will put it there.
Just off, yeah.
Right? So, but what I can do is do this. I'll move it by hand until I think it visually matches kind of the center of where it is in like 0.537. Let's look at it.